And for more, we have DD India's Akshay Dongare joining us. Well, Akshay, talking about the Trump-Putin upcoming summit in Alaska, the only result that counts will be the full and complete ceasefire. What can be expected this time around? And also, what's Alaska's role in the Russian history?
Well, first of all, Alaska was part of the Russian Empire historically. However, it was sold to the US for not a huge amount of money. It was done historically about 200-300 years back. And as far as the claims are concerned, the modern Russian government as well as the modern Russian voices have disagreed, or rather have regretted the decision that had been taken by their ancestors to sell the large piece of land to the US that also touches Canada and Russia on the eastern side. So that's just the part of relation between between US and Russia and the role of Alaska in it. Also, Alaska, now that it is a US territory because it was sold to US by Russia or by the Russian Empire, it now is the part which touches the eastern part of Russia to the western part of the US, which means that the distance between the two countries is negligible as compared to the large distance that the two countries share on the western front of or rather the eastern front of the US and the western front of Russia, which makes them cross the entire Atlantic Ocean to go near each other. So that's one important element. So it has a historical as well as emotional value to the people of the two countries. However, talking about this particular decision that has been taken by Donald Trump, or rather the statements that are coming in as far as the ceasefire is concerned, the meeting between the two leaders in Alaska. One thing is absolutely clear that the Ukrainian side is not comfortable with the kind of peace deal that Donald Trump is announcing. In fact, he has mentioned time and again that there is going to be a land swapping agreement between the two, which becomes a problem again because, no country will accept that the land that was occupied by the enemy of their territory should be given to them as form of a ceasefire. No country would agree to it. So that becomes a domestic issue, a major one for Zelensky that could, lead to, undoing of all the work that he has done as far as this war is concerned, because the public opinion will form in a way that Zelensky ceded territory to the aggressor. To Russia, that can be a domestic issue. However, on a larger scale, or rather, the point that the Russian side is trying to make is that the kind of territories that can be officially transferred to Russia includes Donbass and Crimea. So these two regions are filled with people who speak Russian or who want to accede with Russia. So that's one thing, and that perhaps may run. Or rather, that perhaps may be the logic behind the countries calling for a territorial swap. However, it remains unclear that what territory Russia is going to cede to Ukraine, because Ukraine has never historically made any sort of claim on Russian territory. So that remains one problem because that is the biggest issue, land and territory and sovereignty and territorial integrity of a country. That will become, or rather, that is likely to become a sticking point in this entire negotiation. And the European Union also has said that any deal that is not agreed to by Ukraine will not be agreed to by them as well, which means that even if US pulls out, the conflict may continue in future.
Right, Akshay. Given the EU's strong opposition to the US-Russia deal, excluding Ukraine, and EU citing fears that Ukraine might have to do forceful negotiations, as you also mentioned right now, what risk does a bilateral summit pose to Western unity on Ukraine, and how might this influence the future peace efforts?
Well, like I said, European Union is adamant that any agreement that is not in, or rather that is not agreed by Ukraine, cannot be accepted. US, however, is on a different note under Trump. It's calling for a quick peace agreement so that business can be done. That is not the way European Union feels about this entire issue, because Europe is just right next to Russia and Ukraine, and the conflict, it seems like a conflict that's going on in the neighborhood that can escalate to their region as well. So their concerns are much bigger. US is a far land far away, divided by oceans, and quite a difficult target even for some of the best technologies in the world. So it's already naturally protected. However, Ukraine is not, and European Union is not. European nations negotiations are not. So their concerns remain largely about the Russia's aggression that they want to be sorted out once and for all.
Right, an important point there. US is naturally protected, but Trump claims the war wouldn't have started at all under his leadership. How does that narrative shape his approach to negotiating with Putin now, and what does it reveal about his broader foreign policy priorities or strategy if you talk about the global stage?
Well, Lipakshi, most of the time statements that are given by Trump may not make sense. It has been historically been witnessed, and the same situation is right now. One can never know whether the war would have started or not. But making a claim that it wouldn't have started, either you have to be some sort of a prophet, or you can, see future. And probably change past. So that's just not possible. It's a
Absolutely.
sort of a statement that we can all ignore because much larger things are at stake, including world peace right now.
All right, Akshay, thank you so much for all those details.